Welcome to the channel, my friend. Today you'll find out how your life would have turned out if you'd been born Barack Obama. Enjoy. You were not born in the White House. You were born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1961, far from the marble columns and motorcades people would later attach to your name. There is no anthem playing when you arrive. No one knows that one day strangers will scream your name in stadiums, curse it on television, print it on posters, and write it into history books. Right now you are just a child with a complicated inheritance and a future too large for any room you are in. Your father is from Kenya, brilliant, proud, restless. Your mother is from Kansas, curious, idealistic, stubborn enough to cross oceans in her mind before she ever does it in person. Their story sounds romantic when people compress it into a sentence. It is less romantic when you live inside the consequences. Before you can understand what a family is supposed to feel like, yours is already fermenting. Your father leaves more as an idea than a man, a photograph, a story, a silhouette with an accent, a brilliance you are told to admire, and an absence you are forced to survive. That becomes one of the first lessons of your life. People can shape you most powerfully when they are not there. You grow up in a paradise that does not feel simple. The beaches are real. The sun is real. The loneliness is real too. You are brown in a country obsessed with categories. Not black enough for some, too black for others. Exotic when convenient, suspicious when necessary. You learn early that identity in America is not a fact. It is an argument, and people will have it over your body whether you want them to or not. As a boy, you collect pieces of yourself the way another child might collect shells. Kansas grandparents, Kenyan blood, Indonesian stepfather, American television, schoolyards full of jokes sharpened into warnings. Adults talk around race as if it is bad weather. Children talk about it more honestly. They stare, test, laugh, exclude. Small cuts, nothing dramatic enough for a headline, enough to leave scars. Then Indonesia. Heat, traffic, roosters, muddy roads, the smell of diesel and open drains. The world gets wider and rougher at the same time. Your mother teaches you English before dawn. Workbooks on the table, a lamp in the dark. While other children sleep, she drills verbs and sentences into you because she believes education is a ladder and she will force one into the ground if none exists. Your stepfather teaches a different curriculum, survival, adaptation. The world is not fair, he implies. So learn to move through it without expecting mercy. You see wealth and poverty elbowing each other in the same street. Children with no shoes, men with easy smiles and hard eyes, chickens in yards, soldiers in the distance. You understand dimly that power is not abstract. It decides who eats, who studies, who gets ignored, who gets crushed. You're still a child, but childhood is already becoming a negotiation between innocence and observation. Eventually, you return to Hawaii. Back again, but not fully home. You live with your grandparents. They love you in the practical American way: food, school, rule, sacrifice, a roof over your head. Love is not always graceful. Sometimes it is just endurance with bills attached. At Punahou School, you enter a world of expectations, privilege, and polished surfaces. The kind of place that manufactures futures. You are smart, sharp enough to belong, different enough to never forget you are entering on uneasy terms. You watch how the other boys move. Confidence inherited like property. Ease worn like skin. You imitate, adapt, test yourself against the room. You also drift: basketball courts, locker room talk, adolescent swagger, cigarettes, weed, beer. Not because you are uniquely reckless, but because you are trying to quiet the noise. Questions about race, questions about your father, questions about whether ambition is an act of faith or a performance. The haze helps for a while, but confusion does not disappear. It accumulates. You rid. That becomes another weapon. Baldwin, Ellison, Du Bois, Fana, history, philosophy, politics. You start realizing that what you feel is not only personal. There is machinery behind it. Centuries, systems, narratives. You're not inventing the tension. You inherited it. At 18, you leave for Los Angeles and Occidental College. You arrive carrying the usual cargo of youth: ego, insecurity, hope disguised as irony. College offers reinvention, but reinvention is expensive. You try on identities. Activist, intellectual, cool outsider, future something. You make speeches at student protests, South Africa, apartheid, justice, solidarity. Your voice discovers one of its first real uses, not just speaking, but gathering attention and bending it. That is another lesson. Language is power when used correctly. It can open doors, disarm opponents, soften crowds, and hide uncertainty long enough for confidence to catch up. Then New York, Columbia, a colder city, physically and spiritually, more anonymous, more brutal in its indifference. You walk streets full of ambition and exhaustion. Towers above, filth below, men in suits stepping over men, sleeping on cardboard. You study political science, but the city teaches the deeper course. America praises merit while worshiping money. It celebrates reinvention while trapping millions inside inherited gravity. After graduation, there is no instant legend, no cinematic leap. You work, research, offices, small salaries, routine. The glamorous version of destiny does not exist. Before history turns you into a symbol, you are a young man in modest apartments, wondering what exactly your life is for. That question drags you to Chicago, not the postcard skyline, the neighborhoods where factories shut down and left whole blocks to deal with the corpse, the South Side, churches, unemployment, steel plants gone silent, families adapt into abandonment because no one in power is coming fast enough. You become a community organizer, which sounds noble and vague because it is both. In reality, it means church basements, folding chairs, tired residents, endless meetings, small wins so fragile they feel imaginary. You knock on doors, people size you up, too educated, too skinny, too polished, too strange. They have seen men come through before with plans, slogans, pity, clipboards. You learn quickly that rhetoric alone is useless where heat is off, jobs are gone, and children inhale failure with the air. So you listen. That is harder than speaking. Listening without defending yourself. Listening without packaging pain into a speech. Mothers worried about schools, workers discarded by the economy, pastors juggling faith and despair, young men trying to look harder than their fear. This is where politics stops being theory. It becomes plumbing, zoning, funding, trust, betrayal, and stamina. Some days you feel fraudulent, some days invisible. You organize meetings no one attends, campaign for changes that stall in bureaucratic mud. You discover that institutions are built to absorb outrage until it loses energy. Progress, when it comes, arrives in inches and invoices. But Chicago gives you something precious, a mission larger than your own confusion. Not clarity exactly. Direction. Still, you know something else. If you want to move levers, instead of just shaking them, you need deeper tools. So you go to Harvard Law School. Now you are inside one of the most prestigious machines in America. The rooms are filled with brilliance and ambition so concentrated it almost has a smell. Future judges, future senators, future corporate predators dressed as public servants. Everyone is rehearsing importance. You are older than some, more seasoned than others, and still uncertain whether you belong or are simply passing through another institution built by people who did not picture someone like you at the center. Then you do something no black student had done before. You become the first black president of the Harvard Law Review. Newspapers notice, doors unlock. America loves a first because it can celebrate progress without surrendering too much power at once. You understand the double edge immediately. Achievement brings visibility. Visibility brings pressure. You're no longer just a student. You are an emblem in motion. You could cash in right away. Big firms, big money, prestige with polished shoes. Instead, you return to Chicago, not because you are pure, but because ambition and purpose have begun negotiating terms inside you. You teach constitutional law. You work on voting rights. You enter the long hallway that leads from ideals to elected office. And then Michelle. She's not a prop in your story. She's a force, smarter than most people, and in every room, including the ones who think they are evaluating her. Grounded where you drift, precise where you abstract. She sees through performance fast. Loving her means accepting that charm will not be enough. You will need discipline, honesty, proof. You marry. build a family. Try to hold together marriage, fatherhood, public life, ego, and exhaustion. People like to romanticize power couples as if they are sculpted from certainty. They are not. They are people with deadlines, arguments, debt, obligations, fatigue, and sinkfuls of ordinary life. The difference is that eventually the whole country starts watching. Politics begins at the state level. Illinois Senate. No crown descends from heaven. You campaign. Shake hands until your wrist aches. Eat bad food in fluorescent rooms. Ask for support from people who barely remember your name after you leave. You learn the basic humiliation of democracy. Before they cheer for you, you must persuade them you are worth 5 seconds of attention. You lose races. Not all of them. Enough to understand that talent is not immunity. Thank you for watching the video to the end, and don't forget to write in the comments who you'd like to hear a story about next time.